What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Sean Strickland batters Israel Adesanya en route to stunning win. In the main event of UFC 293, the last stylebender, Israel Adesanya, and outspoken contender, Sean Strickland, competed in a highly anticipated showdown in Sydney, Australia. In the first round, the two men went through the traditional feeling out process as they both looked to find their range and their rhythm. Late in the first round, however, Strickland landed a big shot that sent Adesanya to the canvas, nearly spelling the end of the fight. Despite that, Adesanya managed to survive, before then going on to get outstruck by Sean Strickland throughout the remainder of the fight. While it's no secret that anything can happen when the judges' scorecards are read, Strickland was supremely confident that he was going to be awarded the victory throughout the final moments of the bout, yelling at Adesanya as he continued to walk him down until the final bell. When the judges' scorecards were read, Sean Strickland was awarded the UFC middleweight title, solidifying one of the biggest upsets in MMA history. In addition, after a bitter feud, the two men notably shared a moment of respect inside the octagon after Strickland had UFC gold wrapped around his waist. When the newly crowned champ spoke with UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier inside the octagon, rather than calling out another opponent, he thanked the crowd for motivating him while expressing his disbelief at the moment. Israel Adesanya, on the other hand, did not speak to Cormier inside the octagon, leading fans to wonder just what the future may hold for the former champ. As Cormier stated on the post-fight broadcast, although Adesanya entered the fight as a champion, there's a very real chance that the UFC does not grant the last stylebender an immediate rematch following the loss. Here's Dana White's reaction to Izzy's performance.
I'm not fucking sitting here acting like this is what I thought was going to happen here tonight. But what do I always say? Never judge a fight until it happens. You never know what the hell is going to happen in this batshit nutty sport.
Would you say this is one of the biggest upsets in the history?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about Australia, the two biggest upsets ever in the men's and women's division has happened in Australia.
What did you think of, we'll start with Israel, right? What did you think of his performance? I think some people are saying he looked very flat early on. He looked like he sort of didn't deal with the pressure Sean was giving him very well. What did you think of Israel?
Israel looked like he was in slow motion. He looked like he couldn't get off. He looked like he was really stiff tonight. He looked very slow.
With Dricus du Plessis waiting in the wings and Khamzat Chimaev also poised to enter the title picture if he defeats Paulo Costa in Abu Dhabi, who do you want to see Sean Strickland defend his belt against first? Drop your predictions in the comments section below. Shout out to our first comments on yesterday's video. Thanks for the support. Tai Tuivasa submitted by Alexander Volkov down under. While the heavyweight division is known for producing some vicious knockouts over the years, the heavy-hitting Tai Tuivasa and standout striker Alexander Volkov put on a multi-dimensional display at UFC 293 that ended with Volkov picking up an Ezekiel choke from Mount. The submission was reminiscent of Alexei Oleinik's signature Ezekiel choke, which he has successfully used from a number of positions in the past. For Volkov, it marked his first submission win since 2016, when he defeated Denis Smolderev via triangle choke at M1 Challenge 64 to win the promotion's heavyweight title. Although the two men spent the better part of the fight trading strikes on the feet, Volkov capitalized on a positional advantage late in the second round when he worked his way into Mount and locked up the Ezekiel choke for the win. The victory now makes it 3 straight for Volkov, who defeated Alexander Romanov via TKO back in March, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik via TKO last summer. On the flip side, for Tuivasa, the loss now marks 3 straight after being KO'd by Sergey Pavlovich in December and Cyril Gane last September in Paris. Heading into the fight, Volkov sat as the number 7 ranked contender, while Tuivasa sat at number 6. When the latest UFC rankings update drops, expect that to change, with Volkov potentially even making a splash in the top 5 of the division given his recent win streak. Following the bout, who do you want to see Tuivasa and Volkov fight next? Play matchmaker and give your thoughts in the comment section below. Justin Gaethje wants to end Conor McGregor. Justin Gaethje was initially dismissive of a fight with Conor McGregor following UFC 291, given the fact that the Irish star had allegedly turned down the fight a number of times in the past. As he explained at the time, he simply didn't believe a fight with McGregor would ever come to fruition. Now, with McGregor's return reportedly on the horizon, it sounds as though, while Gaethje is still doubtful that a fight ever happens, in an ideal world, he would like to be the one to end the former champ's career. While speaking to fans as part of the UFC 293 Fight Week Q&A, Gaethje weighed in on the potential matchup.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I've dreamt of ending his career and making sure he was never be able to step back in there. Chandler will now be the second guy that I've beat that he chose to fight, and I think that speaks for itself. He won't fight me, plain and simple.
Of course, while McGregor has continued to express his desire to compete before the end of the year, nothing has been set in stone. With plenty of blowback coming the UFC's way, should McGregor land an exemption from 6 months of USADA testing, it'll be interesting to see what the future has in store for the newly crowned BMF. Colby Covington vs. Leon Edwards update. Since Leon Edwards emerged victorious over Kamaru Usman for the second time, the question many fans have been asking is when the champ will meet Colby Covington inside the octagon to defend his title. While there was hope that the two would collide in November at UFC 295, Covington alleged that John Jones pulled a few strings to keep him off the card. Despite that, Edwards' manager, Tim Simpson, is confident that a fight between the two takes place before the end of the year. During a recent appearance on Submission Radio, he spoke about the situation at 170 pounds.
It'll be before the end of the year. Yeah, there's, I guess, the 2 cards left in November and December. And they're still finalising those. Leon's good, he's ready to go, waiting for the call. From my understanding, Colby's ready to go as well. So it'll be one of those two.
By the time the two men compete inside the octagon, Covington will have been sidelined for nearly a full 2 years. At the same time, Belal Muhammad, who's expected to get the next title shot after Covington, is still waiting in the wings to find out just how long he'll be sidelined before getting his crack at whoever emerges as champion from the upcoming title fight. So far, the UFC has yet to make any main event or co-main event announcements regarding UFC 296. With a welterweight fight between Edwards and Covington and a light heavyweight title fight between Yuri Prochazka and Alex Pereira both expected to get scheduled before the end of the year, one will likely land as the co-main event of UFC 295, while the other could land on UFC 296 in December. Do you think Rocky will really make his return to the octagon to defend his title? Drop your predictions in the comments section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Charles Oliveira wants GSP fight. UFC Hall of Famer George St. Pierre is set to return to competition later this year at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational Grappling event. Although fans had hoped that a match between Hall of Famer Khabib Nurmagomedov and GSP would come to fruition, it sounds as though there's no chance of the matchup happening. Despite that, another former champion is eager to share the mats with the former 2-division champ, Charles Oliveira. Leading up to his UFC 294 clash with Islam Makhachev next month, Du Bronx spoke on MMA Fighting's Portuguese-speaking Trocação Franca podcast. I would really like the opportunity to grapple against St. Pierre. It would be a gigantic honor. I admire and respect him a lot. We've met and took a picture together. He said he was also watching me fight, so that would be great. Either him or any other person. It would be great for me because it's good to be in rhythm. I like to stay active, and like I said, it would be wonderful if it's against St. Pierre. Of course, given that Oliveira is currently in training camp for his upcoming fight with Islam Makhachev, whether or not he can compete against St. Pierre in December could largely depend on whether or not he makes it out of his UFC 294 bout unscathed. Who do you want to see St. Pierre compete against at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational in December? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Aljamain Sterling reveals next fight. Former UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling has wasted no time in booking a grappling match later this month at Polaris 25. Although he has his sights set on a rematch with Sugar Sean O'Malley rather than making the jump to featherweight, Sterling will first set his sights on defeating fellow UFC fighter Nathaniel Wood in a grappling match. Polaris broke the news via Instagram while advertising the event on September 30th, which can be viewed live via UFC Fight Pass. Those hoping to attend the event live will be disappointed to learn that the event, which will take place in Wales, United Kingdom on September 30th, is already sold out. With Sterling keeping an active schedule, do you think he'll be able to get the job done in Wales before making his return to the octagon? Drop your predictions in the comments section below. And now for a breaking news story of the day. We have the MMA community going off on Dana White. After Israel Adesanya lost his title to Sean Strickland last night, Dana White came out at the press conference and said that Izzy could get the rematch with Strickland and it would be an interesting fight.
Traditionally, we see dominant champions get an immediate rematch, right? But Israel just had one of those with the Pereira fights. Do you sort of think, well, let's just book it again because Israel looks so off? Or do you just sort of see how the division plays out and leave Israel on the side for a moment?
No, I think you do the rematch, absolutely. I mean, the rematch is interesting. You know, when you think about you're going into the Pereira fight, such a big fight, You know, and you've been in there with this guy so many times, and then you overlook Strickland, and you come in, and you know, I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions. Israel does, and I'm looking forward to hearing it.
But fans weren't so happy about this, with one fan saying Adesanya is 1-2 in his last 3, 0 title defenses on his second run. Aljo 2-1 in his last 3, 3 title defenses. Guess who Dana is going to give the immediate rematch to? And another fan said, I think it's crazy that he'd give Izzy the next shot when he looks so poorly tonight. Yet, if Sean loses his first defense against Izzy, especially if he looks like Izzy did tonight in a rematch, he probably wouldn't give Sean the same opportunity. Corny stuff. This fan said, the same people who said Sterling doesn't deserve an immediate rematch are saying Adesanya deserves an immediate rematch. Do you agree with the community? Do you think Israel Adesanya should get the immediate rematch? Or should he have to sit in line and work his way back up the division like Aljamain? Let us know in the comments below. And now for more breaking news, we have Sean Strickland's DMs leaked by Dylan Dennis. Strickland said, yeah man, but you still gotta look yourself in the mirror. Go read your comments. The whole world thinks you're a joke. You gotta look yourself in the mirror at night and know that most people on this planet dislike you. If you ever wanted to check out one day, well, no one would blame you for taking that way out. In a lot of societies, that is the honorable thing to do in your situation. Dylan replied saying, lick my balls. I'd literally hold you down and make you lick my arse. Strickland said, yeah, sure, Dylan. Have a good one, man. Hopefully, one day, you take my advice. You know it's the right thing to do. Then Dylan said, you can't go around fighting people, not how life works, so I'm gonna have to handle you. You do know in a real fight, I'd take you down in probably 5 seconds. And finally, Strickland ended it by saying, sure, man, you know where to find me, troll. Who do you think would win in an MMA fight? Sean Strickland or Dylan Dennis? Let us know in the comments below. Top comments. If Aljo ain't getting a rematch, then Izzy doesn't deserve one. Someone responded with, I agree, 100%. The UFC needs to go back to the way it used to be. If you lost a championship fight, you had to fight from 3 or 4 spots down. We're entering the era of Strickland. I'm here for it. If you want to be featured on our next video, make sure to leave a comment and don't forget to check out yesterday's video in case you missed it.